Hot mama. Teen mom Jenelle Evans shows off her curves and hip tattoos in a thong bikini during a dip in the pool. Sunlight shimmered across the water like a scatter of diamonds, and the backyard pool, quiet, private, and soaked in summer, became a mirror for a woman who has spent much of her life in the public eye. On that bright afternoon, Jenelle Evans stepped into the blue, not as a headline or a controversy, but as herself, confident, comfortable, and unapologetically present in her own skin. Wearing a thong bikini that highlighted her curves and revealed the ink along her hips, Jenelle moved with an ease that suggested more than fashion. It suggested a relationship with her body that had been earned, tested, and reclaimed. The pool water lapped at her thighs as she descended the steps, the sun warming her shoulders, the air humming with cicadas, and the quiet luxury of a moment that belonged to her alone. For fans who have watched her grow up on television, this image felt like a snapshot of transformation. Jenelle Evans' story has always unfolded in chapters, some messy, some raw, many written under the relentless gaze of reality TV cameras. From her earliest days on Teen Mom, viewers saw a young woman navigating motherhood, identity, and expectation all at once. Those early seasons captured a person still forming, still learning the language of adulthood while being judged as if she should already be fluent. Time, however, has a way of deepening perspective. Years later, Jenelle is no longer the girl introduced to the world as a teenager with more questions than answers. She is a mother, a woman who has lived through public criticism, personal reinvention, and moments of quiet resilience that never made it to air. And in that backyard pool, thong bikini and all, she looked like someone who understood the value of choosing joy when it shows up. Fashion has always been a form of language, and swimwear perhaps more than most. It speaks of comfort, confidence, and the ability to claim space without apology. Jenelle's choice, a minimal bikini that showcased both her curves and her tattoos, felt intentional. The tattoos along her hips told their own story. Inked memories, artistic expressions etched into skin, they followed the natural lines of her body like punctuation marks in a sentence she was still writing. Tattoos, after all, are not just decoration, they are declarations. They say, "This is me. This is where I've been. This is what I've chosen to carry forward." As she slipped into the water, the tattoos blurred beneath the surface, softened by ripples, then re-emerged with every movement. It was a subtle reminder that identity, like ink under water, can shift in appearance but never truly disappears. The phrase hot mama has evolved over the years. Once used to reduce women to aesthetics alone, it has slowly been reclaimed by those who understand that attractiveness is not separate from strength. It is informed by survival, confidence, and self-awareness. Jenelle's poolside moment embodied that evolution. This wasn't about performing for the camera or chasing validation. It was about ease. About the simple pleasure of feeling good in one's body on a warm day. About standing tall in the knowledge that motherhood does not erase sensuality or individuality. It can, in fact, deepen both. She leaned against the pool's edge, water beading on her skin, hair slicked back, face relaxed. There was no rush, no tension. Just a woman enjoying the present. Curves have long been politicized, praised one decade and criticized the next, depending on trends set far above the heads of the women expected to follow them. Jenelle's body, however, existed outside those cycles in that moment. Her curves were not styled for approval. They were simply there. Real, lived in, reflective of a body that has carried children, stress, laughter, and time itself. The thong bikini didn't attempt to disguise or reshape. It celebrated. And that celebration mattered. In an era where filters and edits often distort reality, seeing an unguarded moment of self-confidence resonates. It reminds other women, especially mothers, that beauty does not require permission, nor does it expire after certain life milestones. Though the pool was private, the image quickly became public, as moments involving Jenelle often do. Fans reacted with admiration, surprise, and support. Comments poured in, many praising her confidence, others noting how relaxed and happy she appeared. What struck many observers wasn't just the swimsuit, it was the energy. Jenelle looked unburdened, at least for that afternoon. And in a culture that rarely allows women with complicated pasts to simply exist without commentary, that felt significant. There was power in that simplicity. The hip tattoos, partially revealed by the bikini's cut, drew particular attention. Tattoos in that area are often associated with boldness, with reclaiming the body as a canvas rather than a commodity. For Jenelle, they seem to serve as visual anchors, reminders of choice and autonomy. Each curve of ink followed her natural shape, emphasizing movement rather than constraining it. When she shifted her weight, when she laughed, when she dipped lower into the pool, the tattoos moved with her, inseparable from the person she has become.
They weren't there to shock. They were there because she wanted them there.
One of the most persistent myths about motherhood is that it requires the sacrifice of self. That once a woman becomes a mother, her identity must narrow, soften, or disappear entirely.
Jenelle's poolside moment challenged that notion quietly but firmly.
She is a mother, yes, but she is also a woman who enjoys sun on her skin, water around her waist, and the freedom to wear what makes her feel good. These identities are not in conflict. They coexist. Seeing her embrace that coexistence sent a subtle but important message. Fulfillment does not have to be singular.
It can be layered.
Public figures often exist in a strange contract with their audience. Viewers feel entitled to opinions, judgments, and narratives that may or may not align with reality. Jenelle has experienced the harsher side of that contract more than once. Yet moments like this invite a softer gaze. Instead of dissecting choices or revisiting old storylines, fans were invited to simply observe a woman enjoying a summer day.
To appreciate beauty without agenda.
To recognize growth without demanding perfection. It was a reminder that sometimes, the most radical act is allowing someone to be seen as they are now, not as they once were.
Summer has always symbolized renewal.
Longer days, lighter clothing, the permission to slow down and savor. In literature and art, it often marks transitions, awakenings, or brief windows of happiness that stand out against harder seasons. For Jenelle, that poolside afternoon felt like one of those windows. The thong bikini, the tattoos, the sunlit water, they were elements of a scene that suggested ease rather than effort.
It wasn't about proving anything. It was about presence.
And presence, when chosen consciously, can be transformative. Jenelle Evans has spent years being narrated by others, editors, commentators, critics.
But in moments like this, she reclaims authorship.
She decides what to show, how to show it, and why. Owning one's narrative doesn't always require grand statements. Sometimes it's as simple as wearing a bikini that makes you feel confident and stepping into the water without second-guessing yourself. That choice, small as it may seem, ripples outward. Perhaps the most compelling aspect of the moment was its lack of performance. There was no exaggerated posing, no forced expressions. Just a woman moving naturally, enjoying the sensation of water and warmth. It felt less like a photo shoot and more like a reflection caught mid-thought. And in that reflection, many saw something relatable. The desire to feel comfortable, attractive, and at peace, even, especially, after a life lived loudly. The image of Jenelle Evans in a thong bikini, curves, and hip tattoos on display as she dipped into the pool was more than a fleeting headline. It was a snapshot of self-assurance, a visual pause in a long and often turbulent story.
It reminded viewers that people grow. That confidence can be rebuilt.
That motherhood and sensuality are not opposites. And that sometimes, the most powerful statement a woman can make is simply enjoying her own reflection without apology. In the end, it wasn't about the bikini or the tattoos alone. It was about the quiet confidence beneath them, the kind that doesn't need explanation, only space to exist.